Before we get to the story, I'd like to say thanks so much for visiting my new channel. I'm going to be uploading cosmic horror related stories every single day. So if that sounds good, please drop a like and don't forget to subscribe. It means a lot, especially when just getting started. I hope you enjoy the story. I found my own body on a planet 4 billion miles from Earth. I was dead, had been dead for a long time from the look of it. The skin was grey and leathery, preserved by the cold and the dry air. The eyes were open, staring at nothing, frozen in an expression I hope I never have to make. But I was also standing right there, alive, looking down at my own corpse. I'm still trying to understand what that means. I don't think I ever will, but I need to tell someone. I need to write this down before the same thing happens to me that happened to him, to the other me, to all the other versions of me that I found in those caves. My name is Everett Slade. I work as an equipment operator on the deep space mining vessel Carthage. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an officer. I'm the guy who runs the drilling rigs, who operates the heavy machinery that extracts ore from asteroids and planetary bodies. It's blue-collar work that happens to take place in space. Nothing glamorous about it. I took this job because it paid well and because I had nothing left on Earth worth staying for. My marriage fell apart 3 years ago. Maria got tired of my drinking, my distance, my inability to be present even when I was standing right in front of her. She was right to leave. I don't blame her. But after she was gone, I didn't see much point in staying on a planet full of memories. I couldn't escape. When the opportunity came to spend 3 years on a mining vessel heading to the far edges of explored space, I signed up without hesitation. I figured putting a few billion miles between myself and my problems might give me some perspective. I was right about that, just not in the way I expected. The Carthage is a working ship, 12 crew members, industrial design, not built for comfort. We'd been traveling for 18 months to reach our destination, a rocky planet called Kepler, 438d, in a solar system so far from Earth that the light from our sun is just another dim star in the sky. The mission was straightforward. Land on the planet, assess its mineral deposits, determine if it was viable for future mining operations. We were supposed to be the first humans to ever set foot there, the first to see it up close. I believed that. We all did. Captain Noel Brandt ran a tight ship. She was professional, distant, the kind of commander who kept the crew at arm's length. I'd worked under worse. She did her job, I did mine, and we didn't need to be friends for the mission to succeed. But I noticed she'd been tense ever since we entered orbit around Kepler 438d, jumpy, checking instruments more than necessary, looking out the viewports at the planet below like she expected to see something specific. I didn't ask questions. I wasn't paid to ask questions. My closest friend on the ship was Webb Hutchins. We'd worked together for 3 years, ever since I joined the crew. He was a good man, solid, the kind of guy who didn't talk much but always had your back when things got rough. We played cards in the common room during our off hours and complained about the food and counted down the days until we could head home. Webb was part of the first surface team with me, 4 of us in total, loaded into the landing shuttle and sent down to the planet's surface to begin preliminary surveys. Kepler 438d was exactly what the scans had promised. rocky, barren, a thin atmosphere that required suits but wasn't actively hostile, the kind of dead, empty world that mining companies love because there's nothing there to protect, nothing to worry about destroying. We landed on a plateau near a ridgeline that showed promising mineral signatures. The plan was simple: take samples, run tests, report back to the Carthage. Standard procedure. Nothing we hadn't done a dozen times before on other rocks in other systems. I was surveying the ridge when I noticed the opening. A cave mouth, about 20 feet across, leading down into the rock. It looked natural at first glance. Erosion patterns, weathered edges, nothing unusual. But something about it caught my attention in a way I couldn't explain. I stood there staring at it for a long time. Too long. Webb had to call my name twice before I heard him. "You okay?" he asked over the radio. I said I was fine. I said I wanted to check out the cave, see how deep it went. Might be relevant for the survey. Protocol said I should report it first. Wait for instructions. Get approval before entering unknown terrain. But I didn't do that. I walked into the cave like I already knew the way. The passage went deeper than it should have. The walls were too smooth, too regular. Not natural erosion. Something had carved this place. Something had shaped it a long time ago, with purpose and precision. My helmet lights cut through the darkness as I descended. The floor sloped steadily downward. The air in my suit tasted stale, recycled, the same air I'd been breathing for months. But I could have sworn I smelled something else, something old and dry and faintly organic. At the bottom, the passage opened into a chamber, and in the center of the chamber, there was a body, human, male, wearing a suit identical to mine, lying on its back on the stone floor, arms at its sides, like it had been arranged there with care. I approached slowly. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my helmet, drowning out the sound of my own breathing. I knelt down next to the body and looked at the face. It was my face. Older, weathered. The skin had that grey, leathery look of something preserved by cold and time. The eyes were open, staring upward at nothing, frozen in an expression of absolute terror. But it was me. The same nose, the same jaw, the same scar above my left eyebrow from when I fell off my bike at 8 years old. I was looking at myself, dead, on a planet no human had ever visited, in a cave that shouldn't exist. I don't know how long I knelt there. Time didn't seem to work right in that chamber. Everything felt distant, unreal, like I was watching myself from somewhere far away. Then I noticed the ring, a gold band on the corpse's left hand. I reached out with trembling fingers and pulled it off, held it up to my helmet light. Inside the band, an engraving. Everett and Maria, forever. My wedding ring. The ring I'd pawned 3 years ago to pay off debts. The ring I'd sold to a shop in Cleveland and never seen again. It was here, on a dead man's hand, on my dead hand. I don't remember leaving the cave. I don't remember the climb back to the surface. The next thing I knew, I was on my knees in the dirt outside, gasping, clawing at my helmet like I couldn't get enough air. Webb found me like that. He was asking what happened, what was wrong, why I'd been down there so long. I couldn't explain. The words wouldn't come. When I finally managed to speak, all I could say was, "I'm in there. I'm dead in there." Webb didn't believe me. I wouldn't have believed me either. So we went back into the cave together. The body was still there, still lying in the center of the chamber, still wearing my face. Webb stood next to me and stared at it for a long time. I watched his face through his visor, watched him trying to process what he was seeing. "That's not possible," he finally said. I showed him the ring, the engraving. His face went pale. "We need to tell the captain," he said. Captain Brandt met us in the shuttle bay when we returned to the Carthage. I'd radioed ahead, told her we'd found something significant. I hadn't told her what. I explained what I'd seen, showed her the ring, described the body in detail. I expected shock, confusion, demands for evidence, for explanation, for some kind of rational framework to make sense of the impossible. Instead, Brandt just looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. Calm, resigned, like I was telling her something she already knew. "Show me," was all she said. We took a shuttle back down to the surface. Brandt, Webb, and me. The captain walked into that cave like she'd been there before. She didn't hesitate, didn't falter, just followed the passage down to the chamber and stood over the body with her arms crossed. She examined it for a long time, checked the ring, studied the face. "This has happened before," she said quietly. "What do you mean?" She was silent for a long moment. Then she told me to come to her quarters that night, alone. There were things I needed to see. That night, Captain Brandt showed me files I'd never known existed. Mission logs, official records, reports from previous expeditions to Kepler 438 DD. Expeditions that weren't supposed to exist. Expeditions that were never made public. Expeditions that had been classified at the highest levels and buried so deep that even most government officials didn't know about them. The first one was over 200 years ago. I sat in Brandt's quarters and read through log after log, report after report. Different ships, different crews, different years stretching back centuries. But every single mission found the same thing. Human remains on a planet no human had visited, remains that matched members of their own crew. The logs described the same discovery I'd just made. Someone would wander into a cave. Someone would find a body. Someone would realize they were looking at themselves. Every time the mission was classified, the crew was debriefed, sworn to secrecy, sent home. The records were sealed. And then, years or decades later, another ship was sent, another crew, another discovery. Why? I asked. Why do they keep sending people if they know what's here? Brandt shook her head. I don't know. Above my pay grade. I was told this mission was the first. I believed it until we entered orbit and I received a classified briefing that told me otherwise. What did the briefing say? To expect exactly what you found, to document it, and to continue with the mission regardless. I looked back at the logs on her screen. Something was nagging at me, a pattern I couldn't quite see. Then I noticed it. The crews weren't just similar. They were identical. Same number of people, same roles, same psychological profiles. The names and faces were different, but the types of people were the same. 12 crew members, one captain with a distant professional demeanor, one medical officer, one communication specialist, 2 pilots, and 6 equipment operators, including one who matched my profile almost exactly. divorced, estranged from family, took the job to escape a failed life. In every log, someone like me was the one who found the cave. Someone like me was the one who found their own body. We've been coming here for over 200 years, Brand said. Different crews, different ships, different decades, but always the same 12 types of people, always the same discovery. That can't be a coincidence. No, Brand agreed. It can't be. Then what is it? What's doing this? What's bringing us here? Brand didn't answer. I don't think she knew, but I was going to find out. I convinced Brand to let me return to the caves the next day. I needed to understand. I needed to know why my body was here, how it was possible, what it meant. She assigned a small team to accompany me. Webb, of course, plus Dr. Alma Pearson, the ship's medical officer, and a technician named Freddie Lowe. We descended into the cave where I'd found myself, but this time we kept going. Beyond the first chamber, there were more tunnels, more passages, more chambers. I found Webb in the second one, his body, I mean, lying on the stone floor just like mine had been. Same suit, same face, same frozen expression of terror. He'd been dead for centuries from the look of it. Webb, the living Webb, the one standing next to me, didn't say anything when he saw it. He just stood there, staring at his own corpse, his face pale as bone behind his visor. We kept going. Dr. Pearson was in the third chamber, Captain Brandt in the fourth, Freddie Lowe in the fifth. Every member of the crew was down here, every single one, dead and preserved in the cold dark, arranged in chambers that spiraled deeper and deeper into the rock. But not just once. In the sixth chamber, I found another version of myself. Slightly different. Older, maybe. Or younger. Hard to tell with the preservation. But unmistakably me. In the seventh chamber, another Webb. In the eighth, another Pearson. It went on and on. Chamber after chamber, body after body. The same 12 people repeated over and over again. Hundreds of bodies, maybe thousands. All of them, the crew of the Carthage. All of them dead. I understood then. We hadn't just been coming here for 200 years. We'd been coming here countless times. The same 12 people, the same mission, the same discovery. Over and over and over again. And every time we died here, every single iteration, our remains were added to the collection. And then somehow, another ship arrived with another crew that was identical in everything but memory. We didn't remember the previous versions. We thought we were the first. But we weren't. We were just the latest, the newest copies in an endless cycle of identical missions and identical deaths. I kept going down, past the chambers of bodies, past the spiral of remains, deeper than the logs said anyone had ever gone. At the very bottom, I found something different. A chamber that wasn't filled with corpses, a chamber that was empty. No, not empty. Waiting. I stepped inside and felt it immediately. A presence, vast and patient and impossibly old. Something that existed in a way I couldn't comprehend, that perceived the universe through senses I didn't have words for. It had been here since before humans existed, maybe since before Earth existed. It was part of this planet, or the planet was part of it. I couldn't tell which, and it knew I was there. I felt its attention turn toward me like a weight settling on my chest, not hostile, not welcoming, just aware, curious, in a cold and distant way, like a scientist studying a cell under a microscope. I understood then what we were to it. Not explorers, not miners, not visitors, offerings. It had been calling us here for centuries, reaching out across the impossible distances of space, touching human minds, planting the urge to travel, to explore, to find this specific planet among the billions of planets in the universe. It had been harvesting us, learning from us, taking something from each iteration that came. Not our bodies, those were just husks, discarded shells left behind in the caves. It took something else, something deeper, our minds, our consciousness, ourselves. Each crew that arrived was a fresh sample, a new batch of minds to study, to absorb, to consume. It was learning what we were, how we thought, what made us human. And it was building something with that knowledge, creating something. I could feel it in the back of my mind, a vast and incomprehensible project that had been underway for longer than human civilization had existed. We were materials. We were data points. We were ingredients in something we couldn't understand. And when it was done with each batch, it called the next one, and the next, and the next. Forever. I left the chamber, climbed back through the caves, past all those bodies, past all those versions of myself and my crewmates. I returned to the surface and took the shuttle back to the Carthage. I told them what I'd found, what I'd felt, what I understood. Some of them believed me, some didn't. Webb just sat there in silence, thinking about the hundreds of his own corpses stacked in those caves. Dr. Pearson watched me with an expression I couldn't read, taking notes on a tablet, documenting my account like it was a scientific observation. Captain Brandt listened to everything. When I finished, she nodded slowly. The briefing mentioned this possibility, she said. Something indigenous to the planet, something that called us here. They knew, and they sent us anyway. They've known for 200 years. They keep sending ships because they want to understand it. They think if they gather enough data, they can figure out what it is, what it wants, how to stop it. 200 years of data, I said. Thousands of dead crews, and they still don't understand anything. Brandt didn't argue. That was 3 days ago. Things have changed since then. I can feel something in my mind now, a pressure at the edges of my thoughts, a presence that wasn't there before I went down to that bottom chamber. It knows I found it. It knows I understand, at least partially, what it is and what it does. And it doesn't care, because this is how it always ends. This is how every iteration ends. The crew discovers the truth, has a few days to process the horror of their situation, and then they die. Their bodies join the collection. Their minds feed whatever vast project is being built. And somewhere, sometime, another Everett Slade boards another ship called Carthage, and he flies 4 billion miles to find his own corpse on a planet he's never been to. The cycle continues. It always continues. I can feel it starting already, a fatigue that goes deeper than tiredness, a sense of my own thoughts becoming distant, like they're being copied, recorded, saved somewhere outside my skull. It's taking me, slowly, gently, like it has all the time in the universe. which I suppose it does. I'm writing this because I need someone to know. I'm transmitting it back to Earth on a frequency that might get through, might slip past whatever screening the company does on our communications. Probably it won't matter. The missions are classified. The records are buried. Even if someone reads this, they won't be able to stop what's coming. Another crew will be assembled. Another Carthage will launch. Another version of me will make the same journey and find the same caves and discover the same horrible truth. But I'm writing it anyway, because the thing in those caves has been calling humanity to the stars since before we knew the stars existed. It planted the dreams of space travel in our minds. It gave us the urge to explore, to reach out, to find new worlds. And every time we answer that call, we feed it. We think we're explorers, pioneers, the vanguard of human expansion into the cosmos. We're not. We're livestock. We're a harvest that doesn't know it's being harvested. And the thing that's been cultivating us is patient. It's been waiting for millions of years. It can wait millions more. I'm going to die on this planet. I've already died here, hundreds of times, in hundreds of iterations I don't remember. I'm going to die here again. My body will end up in a chamber somewhere in those caves. Another husk, another shell, another empty vessel left behind after everything inside has been taken. And then the cycle will start over. There's a new Everett Slade out there somewhere, on Earth maybe, living a life that hasn't fallen apart yet, married to a woman named Maria, wearing a gold ring with an inscription he doesn't know, will end up on his own corpse, 4 billion miles from home. Someday, that Everett will make the same choices I did, take the same job, board the same ship, find the same cave, and he'll stand over my body, this body, the one I'm wearing right now, and he'll wonder how it's possible. I'm sorry I can't warn him. I'm sorry I can't stop any of this. I'm sorry that the universe isn't what we thought it was, and that we're not what we thought we were. We are not alone among the stars. We never were. And the thing that's been watching us, cultivating us, harvesting us, is very, very hungry. It always has been. It always will be. This transmission was intercepted by a deep space monitoring station and flagged for review. The vessel Carthage, referenced in the message, is not listed in any official registry of active spacecraft. No mission to Kepler 438d appears in public or classified records. The transmission originated from coordinates that correspond to empty space. There is no planet at the indicated location. There has never been a planet at the indicated location. A search for the name Everett Slade returned no results in any employment database, census record, or identification system. However, a review of applications for deep space mining positions revealed 17 individuals currently in the hiring pipeline who match the psychological profile described in the transmission. Divorced, estranged from family, seeking to escape failed lives on Earth. All 17 have been flagged for follow-up. The monitoring station has been advised to disregard the transmission as a hoax or signal artifact. The file has been classified. The cycle continues.